And welcome once again to another edition of the UIS Prairie Stars Coach Show on Campus Channel 65. I'm Tony Black. Joining me today is Nichole Inkel, the women's golf coach, and Frank Marsaglia, the men's golf coach of UIS. You guys both played a couple of rounds early in the spring season. Nichole, talk about your thoughts on your team so far.
Well, I think we have really made some strides. We're down to 5 players, so unfortunately my freshman had to step it up a notch, and she actually has. We were able to go to Arizona and Florida, so we played some really good D1 teams, kind of put our players in, to step it up and to see what, the competition is going to be like. And so far, I mean, we placed pretty decent where I thought we should, and we had an amazing trip weather-wise. So we worked a lot on the range, on the green, and chipping. So I think I'm really looking forward to the rest of the season. I think they did really well.
And Frank, you opened the spring season in Florida, and you played this past week here at home. And tell me about your thoughts on the first couple of events.
Actually, it went pretty well. We were down in Florida. We got a chance to practice a little before our first meet. We actually played meet down at Flagler in Prince Cynthia Country Club down there, and we finished second. We actually had our top guy tie for medalist. Last year at this time, we had not had a chance to get outside. We went down there. We were probably 20 strokes out of the medalist lead. So we really did improve at that point. We come back here. We had a tournament up at Pekin Country Club for our host. We had 10 teams in it. We got top 5 finish. We got 4th. They're starting to come around. There's the practices coming into it. We travel next to Cherry Blossom in Kentucky, and we're looking forward to that to see how we do there.
And talk about your event this past weekend at home. You finished 4th, tied with Southern Indiana, but not too far behind first place Rockers. 19 strokes. Exactly. Yet it's far, but it's not bad.
We were 19 strokes behind them. They shot a real good second day. Rockers did a 299 score. We actually would have been closer, but we had a rules violation on one of our players that we actually, on our own, disqualified him. Otherwise, we would have been closer to 12 to 13 strokes out. Weather was perfect. We played, like I said, we beat probably 4 other D2 teams, a couple NAI teams, a couple Division III teams, and the one that did get us was Rockers, which is a very solid team in our conference. So we look forward to trying to get them next tournament.
And Nichole, when you guys went down to Florida, your first day was a little rough, but you guys improved on the second day.
Yeah. It's different down in Florida, as Frank knows. The grass is different. The girls aren't used to playing on that kind of grass. It's real hard. It's hard to, especially when you're hitting in a 10 by 10 net all winter long, and to go out, not only just to go out actually and take some full swings compared to all those other schools that have been, the southern schools have been playing all year round. To play a totally different golf course with weather conditions is tough. So even though we were down there a little bit, we were also down there 5 days before we actually played, and we, practicing, but we did practice on a different course. So it was totally different than, swing-wise, they played so much better the first day than we scored. It was just getting used to the greens, the conditions. So yeah, the second day, we were able to actually beat a D1 school, so that meant a lot to them. And I think it gave them a lot of confidence, because everyone they were just swinging really well, and so to come back here to our own turf is going to be pretty good. I think that's what they needed. They needed the confidence to get on with the GLVC tournaments, and that's why I take them. I take them. Well, we can't practice here, and just to go south, just to swing and to be able to work on their swings. And it's difficult for them to get what I'm telling them hitting into a net. They're not seeing the ball flight. So it was a very good trip.
And one of your biggest improvements down in Florida was a freshman, Brittany Stout. Shot 100 the first day, cut her strokes down to 88. Talk about her growth.
Brittany's got a really good game. What I'm trying to work on with her is the psychology part of it. She's a freshman, obviously, and she was really nervous about playing. And you have to understand, she got bumped up kind of at the last minute You know, and I haven't really been able to work with her. That was the whole goal. I was going to work with her, and then kind of move her up. And hitting into a net, you can't really work with them too much. She was extremely nervous. We're playing. I threw her not into just a tournament, but we're talking, Southern Illinois, Northern Illinois. I mean, some of these teams won national championships, and they were all kind of freaked out about that for a little bit. And, it was just the nerves with her. She wasn't hitting the ball real poorly. She was just kind of shaky. Everyone was nervous before we went off. But, the second day, she just kind of let it loose, and she just played her game. And, she obviously can do it. She did the same thing in Arizona, same thing. She shot, I think 100 the first day, and then came back with an 86. So she knows she has it. It's just we have to figure out how to get her to calm those nerves and make her realize she should be there. We took her score both in Arizona and Florida the second day. She's part of the team, and she needs to, and she definitely has the ability. So I think this was probably the best thing I did for her, bringing her into now the GLVC and then the championship, because if she can play with that in those conditions, I mean, the weather was beautiful. I'm talking about just the different course conditions and playing with girls that were shooting, 70s. If she can do that, she can play with anybody. So, she's really come a long way. Like I said, we took her score both days, in Arizona and Florida the second day. So.
And Frank, you have a very veteran team, lots of juniors on your roster. What does the leadership provide for the younger kids? I know you have a few freshmen and a couple of sophomores who don't play a lot or play as individuals when you have the opportunity to play a lot more.
Yeah, we have a solid core of juniors that basically started the program, and they've grown to this point. They're actually real good for the program. They take these freshmen and sophomores, they don't treat them any different. They make them part of the team, and they basically show them the work ethics we need. They bring them out to the course. They make sure they're playing the same thing. They practice the right way, which is really helpful to me. To have leaders on the team, we don't really just have one leader. We have probably 4 or 5 that, as a group, lead this team. And basically, as they grew up, when we first started as freshmen, they were led by one of the seniors at that point. But they've had, at that point, learned to grow up. And they were sophomores, and they really didn't have anybody to help them at that point. So they had to grow up their sophomore year. And now that they're juniors, they're starting to take that leadership role and help out the team.
Now, is that something that you really preach? After the event over last weekend, your guys were all sitting at a table shooting the breeze together. Is that something that you really preach, to play together, to be together? Exactly.
And actually, when I'm recruiting, too, I kind of try to find the person that does like to be a team, family-type person. It works good with this unity. I've had players come in I recruited that are very good players, but they're kind of loners, and they don't really want to be around the team, which on trips kind of makes it kind of hard to be. I mean, you're rooming with them, and if they're kind of that way, just not the type of team I want. So I do preach that. I try to work with them, try to make them a coherent family to work together, and they really do. I mean, I've seen them to the point where they're competitive for their practice rounds to get into the tournaments. They will be helping the person that's trying to beat them. That's how much they are helping each other. And that's the kind of team I like, and they are good.
Is it, when they help them, is it like, do they tell them, hey, swing the club this way, or kind of try to don't swing as hard on a pitch or something like that?
Some things like that. Basically, we've played so much together now, they each kind of know each other's tendencies and swings. And I've seen one that was struggling, and he needed to actually beat the other one by about 5 strokes to make the tournament team. And the other one told him about halfway through the round, you're overswinging. You're trying too hard. And he was. He was putting a little pressure on himself. He settled down on the back 9, and he picked those 5 strokes to come to the last hole, and it was whoever made the last putt. So that's the kind of team that we have. I mean, knowing that he may not make the tournament, he was still willing to help the other one to beat him.
And Nichole, you don't have that opportunity for depth. You have just 5 on your roster. Is it kind of the same way for your girls, where they'll help each other out on the practice rounds?
Yeah, they're the 5 of them are pretty close. I personally wish, and I've told them this over and over again, I wish I did have more players. I think they would play maybe a little harder during the practice round, because right now they all know that they're going, but they do. I mean, I hate to say that, they just go to practice and don't, because they really do. When we are practicing, we play little games. We'll do a putting contest, or whoever has the least putts gets to pick the dinner the next time. So we make it fun, and they actually make it fun, and they do a lot of things off the golf course together. Actually, all of us, we're pretty close. We always try to make sure, that I preach that too when I recruit. I'm really big on bonding. We will go out to dinner with each other after the rounds. I'll allow parents to come every once in a while. In Florida, we were together for 10 days. So at the end, it was like, okay, if you want to maybe just go on your own, that would be fine. But we usually we wait for everyone to come in, and we're cheering them on. So it makes a big difference if you do have that kind of loner. We've unfortunately in the past have had that, and it was a team killer for them. So if you kind of get the right mix, I mean, obviously you're never going to have a team where they're just all best friends. I mean, they're different. I mean, I'm recruiting, I've always used this where, I'm not recruiting them to be your friend. I'm recruiting them to be a player. I'm recruiting that, but it's your job to be friends. So I think that, we've succeeded in that, and, especially just on the golf course, in the van. I mean, like I said, you take 10 girls on a trip, 10 days straight. Yeah, you have to bond, and, you're together all the time. And, they have learned to adjust to, other personalities or, what have you. So like I said, it makes a difference, because I know a couple years ago, we were struggling because of the things that were going on in the dorm. People were rooming together, and it was brought into the van, it was brought onto the golf course, and you just can't do it. They can't play with that. I mean, golf is probably the most psychological sport, and you just, if your mind isn't there on the first tee, you're just not going to have a good game no matter what. So.
And I was talking to Abby Voyer, one of your players, about a team building thing that they did. She talked about they made cookies together.
Yeah. Yeah, we tie-dyed shirts. I had a Christmas party for them, and we had like a little Secret Santa, just goofy stuff. Yeah, there's all kinds of team bondings that they do on their own.
Talk about TPing.
Yeah. Yeah, they like to bring the coach into it as well, and have TP'd my house quite a bit. I work out every morning at 4:45, and got up one morning and my whole car was saran wrapped. It was probably 10 below, maybe. So yeah, it was funny at first, and then as I was freezing trying to cut this, it wasn't too funny. But paybacks, don't worry about it. But, it's stuff like that. For them to feel comfortable that they can't come and TP my house, or fork my house, or saran wrap my car, that actually makes me feel good as a coach, that they feel comfortable enough that I'm not going to kill them. I will get revenge, but that's what I like. That's the kind of team that I like to have, because if they don't feel comfortable with me, and when I do recruit, that's the first thing I say.
TP my house?
Yeah. I will be TPing your house, but no, if you don't feel comfortable if you love this school and you did like the team, but you just don't feel comfortable with me, don't come. Because you have to have all three, and if you love me and you hate the school but you like the team, you have to have all three, and it makes a huge difference. But it's things like that in the van, that's all we talk about, the stuff that we've done to each other. On the plane ride home from Arizona, Brittany was sound asleep, had her head down, and they were drawing all over her ear as I'm taking a picture, and she didn't even know it. And she didn't know it until we, showed her the picture. So, just goofy, stupid things like that. I'm sure maybe Frank doesn't get into that girly stuff, but but it does make a difference. It really does. You wouldn't want a team that all sat there and, and it's not good. As much as we are together, it would just not. And like I said, they were nervous. They were so nervous because we were playing D1 schools. I mean, I can't tell you the conversation on the plane and the van to the, Nichole, what are you doing? I'm like, you guys, there's a reason I'm doing this. You need that. And and they played well the second day. And then they even said to me, it was like, look at those scores. I mean, yeah, the team, like Frank said, they shot at 299. I think ours shot at 301. I mean, the thing is they're number 1 through number 5 all shoot consistent. But our scores weren't really that different from the middle, or their number 1, our number 1 and their number 1. That's not where the line was. So it started waking them up. So I think it was a really good thing. So.
And Frank, I know when you guys got back from Florida, you called me as you were driving. So was there any good stories from the road trip from Florida, like Nichole was talking about?
Not as many. Our kids do bond together a different way. Actually, one of the main things they like to do, and I don't really get into it, is they like to go to outlet malls. So usually I'll try to take my wife along and let her take them while I go watch the ball games or something. No, they had a good time. They basically, when they're coming back, they'll be talking about what they did on the course and what they need to do to improve. But Nichole's right. The bonding part has got to be there, because we're spending, just like that time, 10 days together. You're 10 days, 24 hours a day. You have to get along with them, and that's kind of what you got to be. And if you can't get along with them, it's no fun, and it's just a miserable place, and you don't perform then. Just like at work, if it's miserable, you won't perform at work. Miserable on the course, same way.
And going personally, you guys both have kids and they all play sports. What is that like as parents? Nichole, you can answer this first, but seeing your kids grow up and playing sports, and your son is a catcher here for the baseball team at UIS.
It's funny because somebody just said the other day, Ryan's a sophomore, and my oldest daughter played golf too in high school, and then she played at Illinois College, and everyone's like, God, when they're done, isn't that going to be? And you know what? I would totally miss it. I mean, I played sports all my life, and it is neat, and so that's why I like to involve the parents. I hate to say, hey, don't come. And golf's so hard because we don't really get a lot of fan base to come out. And so I love the parents to come and watch them. I know some of the girls are like, oh God, I don't want my parents there, but I think maybe deep down they really do. I mean, I love watching, Ryan play. I loved watching him playing all through high school, and my youngest daughter plays like 4 sports, so it's a neat experience. I mean, I love just being around it and watching it and watching them grow, and especially now that I'm coaching college, just to see what she needs to do, or the attitude, and just seeing how these girls adapt to the situation. Even though I was there, it's just different now. It's totally different now. That was like 1920.
Yeah.
So, but now I know what she really needs to do to get to that level. And I'm not just talking skill-wise. I'm just talking mentally. Because it really is tough now. I think. I mean, with the the GPAs having to be this, and we're traveling so much more. We didn't do all that before, and it's just tough to be a college athlete. And that's why I think I'm really big on the bonding, because you have to enjoy your team, and you have to just enjoy outside of golf. It just can't be just golf. And to watch Ryan, I know that it was exciting for UIS because they didn't even have a baseball team, and to see they were working out, and then they practice, and then they work out, and you have to go to class. So it's neat to watch. But yeah, I'm not looking for, my youngest is in 7th grade, and actually I'm not looking forward to when she's done. I'll probably be one of those old fans that they make fun of at every event, and they're like, God, she's back. So no, I enjoy it, and I'm glad that I got a chance to see all that, and I'm still seeing it. I think it's amazing that he's here.
And your son and daughter both played at McKendree.
Yeah.
Talk about that and how they picked up your sport of golf.
Yeah, it's my son graduated, and he played 4 years golf at McKendree. He took to golf as a young kid when I was playing. And my daughter's now a sophomore. She played more traditional as far as team sports with basketball and volleyball in high school, but when she went to college, she decided her junior year, between her junior and senior year of high school, decided she wanted to play golf. She went out her senior year, made state, got 15th, and then McKendree recruited her, and she's there, and she's a sophomore. And just like Nichole, and just like any parent, it's real satisfying to go watch your daughter, watch your son play at the levels they do. It's totally different for a college athlete this year, or than this time back when I played in the early 80s. I mean, the competition level wasn't as good. There's so many kids out there now that can play. it's just so competitive, and so it's real satisfying. And it's, you know, being able to talk to my daughter after her round, or my son, just to see how they did, it just kind of makes you kind of proud. Just like this weekend, we had 8 boys at the Pekin tournament. We have twins on the team, so basically 7 different sets. We had 6 parents there out of the 7. And 1 would have been there, but he was in California playing golf at Palm Springs, so that took precedence, I guess. Priorities. But you know, the family comes into it. Last year on spring trip, we had 3 sets of parents go with us. So it's nice to have the parents there, and the players actually get along and like their parents there, and it doesn't hurt me any too, because the parents know their kid all along, and if there's something they're doing different, they a lot of times let me know, and they can pick up things quicker than I, because they're watching them the whole round rather than me seeing them one hole here during the round. So parents and me get along pretty well too in that time.
Away from his personal issues, Tiger Woods, do you think he's helped or hurt the sport?
Obviously helped the sport all the way up to when his personal issues started. I mean, that sport with him, the fan base he brought in, the money he brought in, the tournament exposures. So overall, he's helped it. I mean, it's still better than what it was back 15, 20 years ago. And the publicity is still helping it. I think the young kids now are starting to come in and starting to beat the veterans with Phil Mickelson and Tiger, and that's going to take the sport even farther.
Now, talk about your days of coming up as a collegiate student, and how was that recruiting process for you, Nichole?
Like from when I started?
Yeah.
Gosh.
Can you remember that far back?
No, I can't. But, you know, it's kind of going back to what Frank said. You know, when I played, and I'm not 100 years old, it's going to sound like it, but I had to play with the boys. Like, you know, they have a local tournament here that's a national tournament. It's the Drysdale. They did not have a girls' division, so I kind of grew up playing with the guys. And that's how I came involved in the sport. My best friend played, and he just, you know, my parents joined Illini, and then I just started playing, and then I traveled with him. But it wasn't, like I said, it wasn't even close to being the competition it is now. You know, I played, you know, in some tournaments and just had to play against the guys. And then my freshman year of high school, I played on the men's teams. They didn't have a girls' team, and then finally we got one. But so it is a lot different than it is here. And then to be recruited then, you know, now, I mean, you have to be in the 70s and to go D1, or, you know, and that's what we're looking for now. And that's not the way it was. I mean, it was women, especially. It was, you know, if you golf, you shoot 90 or 100, you know, hey, we've got some money for you. It's not like that anymore. I mean, the competition is just unbelievable, which is sad for women, because I don't know if you've noticed, but the LPGA Tour, I think, is just going downhill. You know, I mean, there's hardly any Americans playing anymore. They're all international. You go to a tournament and they don't speak English, so it's not really fun to go and watch it and to interact with them. And it's a shame, because I don't know what's happening to all the girls that are playing at that level. I mean, they're playing in all these national tournaments in high school, and then, I mean, I'm struggling to find girls to come. I mean, you know, good, decent. They all, for some reason, they just don't want to play in college. I don't know if it's they just don't think they can now with all the competition or what, but it's really hard to find a lot of female, you know, golfers that have been playing all those national tournaments, you know. And the other thing is, too, is I think a lot of them, I think Tiger ruined this, and Michelle, we ruined this, is everyone thinks that they have to, you know, be in these tournaments, that that's all they have to do, and they're going D1, period. They're going to the best, you know, and that's not the way it is. I mean, I'll tell you what, we have some great players in our conference that are beating, you know, some of these D1 players, and it's just, you know, they get that in their head that, you know, we have to be the best, we have to go this way, we have to go south, and it's, I mean, I know Michelle, we did that for women. They thought that, you know, this is what you need to do, and that's not what you need to do, you know, and so it's totally different when I was recruited that way. But for me, I think it made me a better player, and I kind of wish it was like that nowadays, because it was so much harder for me, because I was playing against men, and the difference between men and women is a little, not, I guess not really, they don't play the yardage in high school that we play.
Right.
You know, women in high school, they play like 5,200. Well, we're playing 6,000. So when you get a girl that's shooting low 80s at the high school level, and now you're bumping it up, and they don't think it's that drastic, but it's very drastic. And so they can't compete. And I just wish that, and that's one reason I didn't have any trouble, because I was playing with the guys. So I was playing at the yardage that I should have been playing, where now I think they're trying to get girls involved in golf so much, they're making it easy. Well, once they get to us, it's not easy anymore. So I kind of wish, actually, we can go back to when I played, you know, because it was just really tough. You know, I had to play hard to keep up with these guys, and it just made me a better player. And so, but that, yeah, it was, and I didn't have the opportunity these girls have. Like these tournaments, these national tournaments, I mean, they weren't out there for me. So, you know, it's amazing. You know, my daughter plays golf. She's the only one. That's why I had that third, because nobody ever played golf. But she's playing, and she wants to get involved in that. And it's pretty exciting for me, because I'm thinking, wow, we can do all this stuff that I couldn't do. And you can play in these tournaments, and you can play in the national tournaments. But, you know, you know, I'm backing her up. I'm like, you know, you can't play from those tees. You know, this is because this is what you want. So, and that's something that they don't, those parents don't get. They just don't understand. So, but it was fun. I mean, I loved playing. I still love playing.
All right, well, I want to thank you both for joining me today on the UIS Prairie Stars Coaches Show. I'm Tony Black. So long, everybody, and go Stars.